Hey guys, Tim here, Big Dog Forge. Good to have you back in the shop. We got something kind of exciting going on this week. We're doing some jelly roll Damascus with a little bit of a twist, but you'll see that in a bit. We're going to do a little bit of viewer mail. I've got some viewer photographs that a couple of guys have sent in. We're going to continue that, and then we'll get right into the jelly roll. But first, let's open some mail. That's always lots of fun. Thanks. Let's check this out. Okay guys, we have mail time. This time it's from J. Ryan, Big Dog Forge. It's light. I don't know what's in it. We'll figure that out. So anyway, thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah. The right tool for scribe metal wood plastic. It's a scribing tool. Excellent. Wow. I like it. Very cool. Thanks, Jay. Let's see what Jay says. Hi, thought you might get some use out of one of these. Thanks for all the informational videos. Keep it up. Very, very cool. Let's try it out. Very cool, very cool. 1 inch. 7/8, 3/4, 5/8. Half inch. You make a half inch work. In my 5 fingers. Anyway. Very, very cool. I like it. Get it in frame there. MWT-2A Midwest scribing tool. Some 3/8, 1 inch, 7/8, 3/4, 5/8, half inch. Very, very cool. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it. That's awesome. Can always use a new tool. Thanks. All right, so that was cool. Thanks, Jay. That's awesome. Man, you can never have enough cool tools, and this is a good one. I can use this all the time, so thanks. I appreciate that, man. Cool. All right, we're going to jump right into some viewer photos and take a look at some stuff that Mike G sent in, and Greg Turberville, I believe is how his name is pronounced. If I butchered your last name, sorry. You know, it's one of those things. I'm not good with last names. Let's take a look at that stuff, and then we'll get right to the jelly roll. Thanks, guys. See you soon. Bye. Okay, Greg Turberville sent these two photos in of a Champion 433 forge, and it's got a Champion 400 blower on it. It's pretty large. He's beginning his coal forging blacksmithing, and he was looking for one and ran across this. It's pretty large, but looks like it'll do a pretty good job for him. A little envious. That's a quite a nice forge to run across. Apparently he got it super cheap. Looks like he's got all the parts to it as well. Lucky, lucky. Alright, these were sent in by Mike G. Some pictures of his shop. He's working on a power hammer. It's, again, sort of a recreation of a Little Giant type thing. Looks like he's doing a marvelous job on it. He sent me several photos of his shop, and I'll be sharing more of those later. He did some burners and other things. So, good job, Mike. Excellent. Thanks for the photos, guys. Keep them coming. Okay, guys, this is the material we're going to start with this time around. We got some 15 and 20. We cut up with a plasma cutter into a bunch of sections, and we've got this whole chunk of leaf spring off a truck. And we're going to size this thing to match those. We'll get it into the press, I'm using a bar to maintain the width that I need. And this die that's in here is actually broken on the left hand side, and you'll see what I mean here in a minute, but we got to narrow this thing up a little bit. I want to start off with a bar that's about 1/4 inch thick. Now you can see that crack that's just above that, and it keeps moving up. Yeah, so it turned it into kind of a banana shape a little bit, but it got the size down there. So we'll straighten it out in the power hammer a little bit, flatten it out, or take it over to the anvil and take that curve out of it. And I've got this little, it's actually a miter wood cutting type saw. I put an abrasive blade on, I get rid of all the plastic parts. Works really well as a chop saw. And we're going to cut these into sections to match our 15N20, and we'll get these things over to the belt sander, clean them up. And after doing 2 or 3 of these, I decided, I was looking across the shop, and I've got another belt sander. It's a 4-inch wide or 6-inch wide thing, freestanding. And I've decided at some point in the future I'm going to turn that thing into a surface grinder. So I got kind of some plans going there, because belt sanding is just too much. So we got our leaf spring and our 15N20, and because the 15N20 is thin, we're putting 3 layers of 15N20 between each piece of leaf spring. Try to equalize that thickness. And we're going to have 9 layers overall. So in jelly roll, from what I've learned, is that you keep the layer count down. I had a little trouble with the welder through this whole thing. I had trouble with the welder. I think it's the rod. Must be old or got wet or something, I don't know. But I got through it. So we get this thing welded up, and of course we're going to put a handle on it. So this time around I'm going to put a little bit longer handle on it. Not super long, I can grab it with the tongs, but I've discovered if I'm just a little bit further away from the press I can control it a little better. So it's not going to be the short stubby handle I normally do. So we actually move along pretty quick in this video. I try not to skip any steps, because I wanted to show you guys what's all involved in this. There we go, it's pretty warm. We'll get some flux on that thing before it starts scaling up on us. Hey, new goggles, huh? Awesome. Alright, we're going to do our initial weld on the power hammer, because I'm used to it. I know it works well, and I'm just not super used to the press yet, so we want success here. So we get into the press, and I just took the dies out of it to do that second weld, and in the third weld I built these dies, obviously because the previous set that I squished out the leaf spring with weren't working out so well, and they cracked. So I threw this together real quick, but I am going to have to repair those. So ultimately what I want to do is, you can tell that my dies are offset there a little bit. I'm making a banana. The top one needs to be pushed back a little. There we go. Do that straighten out. So I want this tapered a little bit, because apparently you want the inside of the jelly roll tapered down and the outside a little thicker. So ultimately what I'm looking for is something that's a little less than 1/4 of an inch up to about 3/8 of an inch before we roll this thing. And I actually achieved that pretty well. The power hammer helped out quite a bit. Get some of those wrinkles out from those fullering dies. There we go. And of course we didn't get all the dimples out, but we're going to grind those off in preparation to roll this thing up and let her cool down there. And you can see the lines in there from those fullering dies. and we cleaned both sides of this thing off. And it was a little bit to grind off. That stuff was pressed in there pretty well. And we didn't lose too much material because we left it fairly thick. There we go. But we did end up with our about 1/4 inch at one end and just about 3 at the other. Alright, this is a piece of wrought iron, courtesy subscriber mail. Thank you guys, you're awesome. And what we're going to do is clean this thing up, and we're going to put it in the middle of our jelly roll so it has a wrought iron filling. Yum, sounds good, huh? Alright, so we need to scarf the end of this thing so we can get a nice beginning tight roll on it. We don't want any gap there at the end causing a void or anything. And right there where we're tapering that thing, we're putting that scarf on it, we're going to clean up our little piece of wrought iron, and we're going to tack weld it on either end straight across that, and we're going to roll it up in the center of this thing. Now, I've not seen anybody do that, and I have no idea how it'll come out or if this will even work at all. We're going to find out. And we're going down a little bit further. There we go. We'll start that thing at the beginning of that. Grab with a goofy tongs so it doesn't roll off there. Alright, now since we're tacking it only on both ends, when this bar stretches out from being a jelly roll, those things will, most of it should go away and not be inclusions in the weld. Alright, now the work starts. Get this thing into the fire, and my thought was to clamp the end of it in the vise and start rolling it around. It worked a little bit, but ultimately hammer. Just a whole bunch of hammering. So the idea here is to keep this as tight as possible with as few gaps as possible. Now the video I watched, the guy was saying that, you know, a few gaps are okay, it's all going to be taken care of in the press, blah blah blah. But as much forge welding as I've done, gaps are a bad thing and they scare me. That and rolling all this scale up in this thing. But I'm sure the flux will take care of the scale. Not too worried about that. But big gaps mean big air bubbles, so worked on this a while to make sure that I could get it as tight as I possibly could. I still ended up with a few gaps, but they're not horrendous. Let's see how that goes. And this whole thing took obviously several heats. You're seeing all of them. I didn't cut any of those out. And it was a little time consuming, but it really wasn't too bad. This is something I will do again once I've learned a little bit here. I've discovered this isn't super common. You don't find a bunch of videos on how to do this or what it's all about. I basically found two videos. One was by Alex Steele, and he had explained that he had not done this before, but he did have success, and in the end he made a gorgeous tomahawk out of the thing, which was very impressive. The other video I found was more informative. It was more of a how-to teaching thing by, I believe the gentleman's name was Ed Caffrey, and that video is basically the extent of the knowledge I have with Jelly Roll Damascus, and we'll see what we learn here today. So So we get this thing finished up, tidied up, as tight as we can get it. All right. Now that's a tasty looking jelly roll, I gotta tell you. Yummy. Okie doke. We get this thing into the vise, and we're gonna cut that end off flush next to the handle, so we got a nice straight edge. Apparently that's the thing to do to make sure it welds up good and tight. This stuff's pretty tough. I went through, there's a half a disc here, maybe a little more. Went through that and started a new disc just to get this cut through. And it is almost 3/8 of an inch thick there. But I think after going through that press, that spring steel, 15N20, it just compressed a little harder. That persistence pays off. And you're going to notice my little plug in the middle of wrought iron kind of dropped a little bit. My welds failed there. So we're just going to hold that into place with some weld, and we put this handle on here. Stop bumping the camera, you goofball. Alright. And we'll get that into the forge, get her all fluxed up. And we get the heat on this thing up quite a ways. I want that flux to do its job, and I want to make sure we're nice and warm all the way to the core in that thing. It's about 3.5 inches across at the moment. So yeah, you're going to notice it's square here. Yeah, I didn't have the camera on for the first weld, which is very disappointing to me. Would love to have shown that to you. But this is the subsequent welds. And this first set of dies that I'm using here are 2-inch dies, 2-inch squaring dies, and they took that 3-inch down pretty quickly. And I'm going to take you all the way through the different dies to take this thing down to a 1 1/8 inch square bar. So this is our second set that's going on. These are, I believe they're 1.5 inches. And we'll get this in there, and you can see how those corners squish out from under the dies, and that does have an effect on the final pattern. That's happened more than once. It happened in the original weld, and it's something that I don't know that you can stop from happening. You can notice that bottom die on the left is starting to bow in a little bit. I need to make a little stronger set of dies for the bottom of this. So I started at the back to get that nice and square, worked it forward. Alright. And that top die got jammed in there a little bit. There was a little piece of debris in there. They fit pretty snugly, but it eventually came out. And then we'll get our, these are actually 1 1/8 dies. And I chose those rather than inch because if I want to take something to 1 inch, I want some material to be able to grind off all the way around if I need to in the future. I can always make smaller ones if I need to. But it chewed this thing down pretty quickly, and you can see those edges poking out. You have to square those back off. And like I said, that does affect the pattern. But kind of interesting. Alright, so we ran it through a couple of more heats, got it nice and square. We're going to cut the end off this thing and let it cool down. We're going to get it into some etch, see what she looks like. The nice thing is the handle's long enough, it'll just set all the way down on the bottom of the etch bucket. Don't have to worry about dropping it in. Alright, I'm going to show you guys my masterpiece here. Well, there you go. It's got a wrought iron core. And you can see the pattern, how it's distorted from the corners in, from being sort of pooched out there and then pushed back in, which may end up making it look a little more interesting in the end. We'll see. Right now it's 1 1/8 inches, and I think I'm going to take it down to 3/4 of an inch. And we're going to use this as part of a mosaic in a multi-bar mosaic pattern. And now that I've got this to work, my thought was to take the flower pattern, round it off, and roll it inside a jelly roll Damascus in combination with this to put together as that mosaic Damascus. And I may add a twisted bar of Damascus. So we'll see. Well, there you go, guys. Another one down. Hey guys, there you go. So jelly roll Damascus, that was the thing. It worked out really, really well. I'm really excited about that center. And my goal here is to be able to take the flower pattern that I made, make another jelly roll around that, and use that in conjunction with the one that I've got, that I just made, to do a multi-bar mosaic Damascus for some blade material. And that's going to be probably another couple of videos. I'm stocking up the Damascus. I've got it laying all over the place. I've got the snakeskin and the 1,000 layer, and now I've got these 2 bars. So I need to actually start building something out of them, but it's going to be a little while down the road. Really appreciate you stopping by, guys. Thanks for everything. Appreciate all the subscribers out there. You guys are awesome. Keep the mail coming. I love mail. Send me a postcard. I don't care. Stickers. Stickers are good. I got empty walls. I need to put them somewhere. Anyway, so I want to say thanks again. Appreciate it. If you're liking what you're seeing, why don't you like button and just find it and get it. Anyway, so thanks again, guys. I appreciate everything. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon. Be safe. Bye-bye.